This morning, so many things I wanted to talk about, but I keep on feeling compelled to talk about our purpose. Our purpose, not the purpose of everything that's going on, because there's no way that we can really know that. We can look at all of the individual reasons, and believe me, you all know this, that everyone has an opinion about why all of this is happening. Everyone has an opinion about what is happening, how it's happening, when it's all going to end. But ultimately, we don't know. Ultimately, we have no idea. Ultimately, all we have is ourselves, each other, and all of these skills and qualities and talents and passions that we have been carrying with us our entire lives. Ultimately, all we have is the conditioning of the mind. And while in our meditation practice, the techniques that we are learning or cultivating so that we can learn to utilize the different talents, conditions, and space that we have at the moment. And so a lot of friends and fellow teachers and students and I have been talking about what this all means for us in this present moment, the typical conversation, but more of like what it all means when all the tools that we were so vehemently using every single day for our jobs, for our lifestyles, for our family seems to be limited. But then I look at an article like I read this morning about the factory of Elon Musk, the Tesla factory. How that factory is being repurposed in order to be able to not sell more shit, but being repurposed to actually serve the community, to connect with a higher need other than just creating cars and technology and everything that people think that they want. And so what we end up having the privilege of asking ourselves is, how is it that we can repurpose everything that we were doing in order to connect, in order to not only connect on a personal level, but to connect to a higher purpose, a higher need, a higher necessity in our daily lives and in a global scale. How can we take our own internal factory and mechanisms, and rather than just saying, okay, we're just going to wipe it all clear and start back from the beginning, how can we repurpose the tools that we already have? Well, first we need to understand what those tools are. And if we haven't spent a whole lot of time in self-reflection, if we haven't spent a whole lot of time in trying to understand who we are, why we're here, and in what ways can we serve, then this is the time to do it. This is the time to be able to actually sit. And even if you have spent that time, there's a good chance that your understanding of things has started to shift. Your understanding of these talents, these skills, these qualities, these abilities that we have is starting to shift. Our perceptions are being forcibly evolved to serve a higher purpose. So these type of practices help with that. They help us to understand what the programming is that we already have, and understand what updates we can make, what upgrades we can make to actually make these shifts and changes, so that when we do come out of this space, we can start to practice it. And we're being given a very familiar environment to slowly practice it, to do little things here and there for serving family and friends, serving ourselves, serving our home, serving our talents and passions that we've perhaps been, hi Mark, passions and talents that we've perhaps been neglecting. We've got a lot of free time. We've got free time that we can easily monopolize with social media, easily monopolize with television, with the news, with an infinite amount of streaming entertainment, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's nice to have a few brain Twinkies every now and then, but is this the time for us to indulge in all of the brain Twinkies? Is this the time to indulge in all of the mindless babble that is on repeat from the news? Or is this the time to stop the input from coming in and step into our own insight, to step into our own intuition, to step into our own internal needs and world, and begin to create forgot to put my phone on do not disturb. There's so much that we can do with this time that is beyond trying to go through the normal rhythms, trying to get the body to feel comfortable the way that it used to be comfortable. There's so many things that we are allowing ourselves, hi Nasha, there's so many things that we can feel and experience. And a lot of that discomfort that we are experiencing isn't new discomfort. Just like, when you sit in stillness for a while, if this isn't your first meditation practice, then you know this, and if it is one of your first meditation practices, then this is all informative. The first time you sit in a meditation practice, you might think, oh, this is uncomfortable because I'm sitting still. My knee hurts, my lower back hurts, my breath is short, my heart's beating fast. And it's very easy to think that that is occurring because you're sitting in meditation, because you never noticed these things before when you were just going about your normal rhythms. It was all part of this semi-homeostasis that you believed in was happening within the body, mind, and the world. When in actuality, what you're actually experiencing is you're stepping outside of all of the movement and actually watching the waves of experience passing through your body. You're stepping outside of the comfort that the body is so used to experiencing. That's what the body does. It's just constantly trying to make itself comfortable. And finally taking in, oh, there's that injury from 15 years ago, and that's why my knee is hurting. Oh, there's that, my heart rate's actually fast because I drink too much coffee. And it's probably always that fast, but I never noticed it before. And the same thing is happening as we're turning inwards into our homes and we're watching the world outside. We're like, oh, a lot of this stuff that's uncomfortable are themes that were always being triggered within me, and I'm actually starting to notice it. A lot of old triggers, a lot of old traumas, a lot of old emotions are starting to come up. And since we don't have all of the distractions of the hustle and bustle of the rat race of life, and we're being told to sit, boredom is not that there's nothing to do. Boredom is that there's nothing to distract you from actually turning in and facing yourself. And that's what's so beautiful about a meditation practice, especially a meditation practice every day, is you get to start to observe and understand all the different ways that the mind is searching for another source of entertainment, searching for another source of retreat, so that it doesn't need to actually say, oh, you know what, I'm uncomfortable with this part of myself. I'm uncomfortable with this part of my mind. I'm uncomfortable with this part of my thoughts. What meditation does, it tells you it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be triggered. It's okay to not like every single thought that you have, because guess what? You are not your thoughts. You are not those triggers. You are not the trauma. You're not the past. You are not the future even. You are the one that's observing all of it right now in this very moment. And another great thing is that thought doesn't have to be permanent. That thought can just be something that slowly echoes out like any other vibration that exists within the universe. And you can change it. So Wayne Dyer wrote this beautiful book about the Tao Te Ching. It's called You Can Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. And it's a book that talks about, first of all, the Tao Te Ching and all of its, I think it's 56 verses or 59 verses of the Tao Te Ching, and how by finding a new flow and rhythm in your life, a new flow and rhythm in your perception of life, that the thoughts will change themselves. That you don't have to dramatically like delete the entire motherboard of your personality and recreate something new and go about your life pretending that everything else didn't happen. Instead, you're taking that old programming and you're shifting it, you're readjusting it, you're altering it to be more like an upgrade, like the version 2.0 or 3.0 or 4.0. And every single day we get to make these changes and all of these subtle shifts simply by changing the way that we perceive the mind itself. So it's not just changing the mind and changing the thoughts, it's changing the way that we perceive that mind. It's changing the way that we perceive ourselves and our thoughts, reconstructing everything that we have, repurposing those thoughts to go towards what it is that we actually want. It's not that we want to change us. Essentially, most people like themselves, probably too much, but we want to change how it is that we feel about it. And the way to do that is to change the way that we look at it, to change the way that we look at each one of these uncomfortable thoughts and each one of these uncomfortable moments, and actually be able to see that they are all connected, that it is all one continuous slow vibration that is interconnected, me with you, with my thoughts, with my reality, and you with me, with my thoughts, and with your thoughts and your reality. It's all intertwining in this wonderful web and design of evolution. So if we already know that every single one of these thoughts was based on the principle that we are meant to evolve so we can continue to survive and thrive and love and grow, then we can start to allow those thoughts to spontaneously change just by sitting and staying in loving awareness. So today's meditation is very simple. We are going to go through the mindful practices of observing the different experiences that is around us. Now, this all comes from A Course of Miracles again. Like I talked about Course of Miracles yesterday, I'm talking about it again, starting a whole WhatsApp chat group that will go on to some Zoom calls, and we're actually going to start to study the Course in Miracles. So if you're interested in being a part of that, please let me know. Send me a DM. I would be happy to have more and more people joining the Course in Miracles. Now, the first lesson in the workbook of the Course in Miracles, let's get it out right now to make sure I don't misquote it. The first lesson is essentially saying, that was redundant, basically and essentially. The first lesson says that I'm on like lesson 300, so sorry, I gotta go back quite a bit. First lesson says, don't want to go back too far. Nothing I see means anything. So in the first lesson, we look around the room and you look at all these different things that we've applied meaning to: the door, the laundry hamper, the book. And we know inherently that that has meaning. Like we look at a door and we're like, oh, that door, it opens. It is meant to be an opening. That hamper, it holds laundry. And essentially we have assigned meaning to all these things when really they're just materials of molecules that we've put together and we've assigned meaning to it. And the idea behind the Course is that you take these very simple external concepts and we are able to turn them internally into our actual mind itself. So when we close our eyes and we sit in stillness and we start looking at all the different sensations and experiences that we have, we've assigned meaning to them. Oh, my knee hurts. That means that I need to move. Oh, my lower back hurts. That means I must have an injury. Oh, my breath is short. I must have anxiety. And so we start assigning meaning to all of these different phenomenal experiences rather than just observing them as being vibrations, phenomena, nothing more, nothing less, taking all of that analytical idea of it, that identification of it, and stepping back and just observing it for what it is. It's either a vibration of light or it's a vibration of sound, one or the other. So we're going to get into a mindfulness-based practice where we observe the sensations in the body, where we observe then the sensations of perception, but we're observing them without assigning meaning. And then we're going to step into this loving awareness and just let the thoughts flow. And when those thoughts are flowing, we're going to look at thoughts that make us uncomfortable. We're going to look at the thoughts that make you want to get up, turn this meditation off, and say, I'm never coming back. And you're going to sit with them. You're going to sit with them, and you're going to take that identity out. You're going to sit with the emotions that arise, and you're going to start to recognize that these emotions are vibrational impulses happening in the body due to a biochemical reaction. Not saying that emotions aren't real. I'm not saying that emotions should not be honored. In fact, it's the opposite. Rather than running away from the emotion, we're going to sit with it. Rather than running away from the thought, we're going to sit with it, and we're going to observe it. We're going to be aware of how it affects our ability to do something as simple as sit in stillness. I'm going to try not to make it too long of a meditation so that I don't torture you for too long, but we're just going to sit and allow all of these experiences to become nothing more than a phenomenal vibration of either light or sound. And we're going to see if you can let those thoughts change themselves by taking your engagement away, by taking your identification with them away, and just observing them. Allow the natural intelligence, the divine intelligence, first of all, creation and of your own body and intellect, to step in and just make those changes on its own, because you're no longer holding on to anything as your identity, and you're no longer holding on to anything as your crutch either. And just saying, you know what, I'm willing to let this be a part of this experience right now, because I know that I have the intention and the will to keep on moving forward, the intention and will to keep on evolving, and to eventually be able to repurpose this whole factory of emotions and thoughts and body to actually serve in as many ways as possible, even if it's just from the privacy of my home. So let's begin. Go ahead and close your eyes. Come to a comfortable seated posture. I know I can't police any of you to make sure that you're actually seated, but just know that meditation is much easier to stay awake and aware and to actually become aware of what your conscious mind does in your daily life if you remain seated. Lying down, your body is very ritualistic and tends to think, oh, it's sleepy time, and then a lot of other stuff starts to come up. And right now, we are just working with what our conscious mind is doing within a 10-minute period. So closing the mind, eyes, palms facing up or down. Actually, turn the palms facing down. Release your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Make any final adjustments to your legs and or feet. If you're sitting in a chair, put your feet flat on the floor rather than crossing your legs. Just let the body feel supported. Supported by the earth, supported by the strength of your spine. And soften the expression in your face. Release any residual tensions from the body. And be still. Sit and know that you are sitting. Allowing your body to become as still as a marble statue. Knowing that it's okay to still be having thoughts. Let the thoughts be there, let them run. And you're just going to shift your attention, shift your awareness away from the thoughts and begin to guide it through the experiences in the body. Observing, accepting, and embracing any experience without labeling it as pain or discomfort, but taking a more scientific approach and observing it as a vibration. If it's a tight, sharp experience, that's a really fast vibration. That's a really intense vibration. If it's an easy, relaxed, pleasurable experience, that's a slow vibration. It's more of a wave. And start with where your body's making contact with the floor. Up through the calves, knees, thighs. Into the hips, belly, lower back. Ribs, chest. Remaining just on the surface of the skin. Just keep your attention on the surface of the skin. The shoulders, arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands. And each individual finger, starting with the right hand thumb, first finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pointer finger. Left hand thumb, first finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pointer finger. Up the contour of the spine, through the back of the neck and around the throat. Which sensations are arising? Which level of vibration are you experiencing? What frequency is occurring around the expression in the face and the chin, jaw, upper lip and lower lip? The tip of the nose, the bridge of the nose, the eyes, forehead, scalp, and crown of the head. The body as a whole. Sitting, simply knowing that you are sitting in marble-like stillness. Then internalizing that awareness, that attention into the heart. And it's beating within your chest. The lungs, breathing. The internal organs. Even feeling the circulation moving underneath your skin. A constant flowing movement. Then take your attention back to your sense of sight and just look into the back of the eyelids. Looking into the back of the eyelids, at first it appears to be an empty void. And this is the natural state of the undisturbed mind, the unconditioned mind. The conditioning begins the moment that we are able to perceive vibration, either light or sound. Now that light or sound the conditioning begins from the outside. Noticing different sounds, different shadows of light crossing over the eyelids. But then as we sit in stillness even longer, those vibrations of light and sound come from within. They are projections of a preconditioned mind. We begin to notice thoughts and memories, creations of dramas playing out within the mind. Recreation of past memories. And then the whole body begins to be affected by this new vibration as the conditioned mind begins to react with emotions. It's the emotion itself that leads us to believe that we are this thought. As the emotion gets experienced as such an intense sensation of vibration within the body, that it affects the heart, that it affects the internal organs, that it even affects the sensations across the skin. We begin to identify with the emotion and identify with the thought. So continue to observe this occurrence of thought inspiring emotion and then emotion inspiring identification, and pull that step of identification away, of trying to identify what the emotion is, identify what the source of the vibration is, identify what the thought in and of itself is or came from. And simply observe it. Witness it, maybe even making a mental notation. This is the sensation of this thought or this emotion, and allow yourself to sit with it as a full body experience. Even if it is one that you do not like, sit with it, without attempting to figure it out, without attempting to change it. And then turn the gaze again to the back of the eyelids and feel the vibration of the whole body, sitting and knowing that you are sitting. Breathing and knowing that you are breathing. Now let's begin to notice what happens when we disrupt these thoughts. Disrupt these thoughts not just by diverting our attention to the sensations of the physical body, but disrupt this thought by diverting the attention to an intentional thought of a mantra. The mantra that we will use today is I am loving awareness. Now, as you say these words, it's easy to go through the motions, the mental motions of saying a mantra. But as you say the words, really listen to your internal voice and allow yourself to say these words with meaning, with feeling. This means that there's going to be a step of self-inquiry, of understanding what each one of those words means, to create a new coherency between the body, the mind, and the spirit. I, the witness, am existing in the present, loving awareness. I am loving awareness. Continue this on your own, saying and feeling the meaning of each word slowly. Breathing in, I. Breathing out, am. Breathing in, loving. Breathing out, awareness. And as different thoughts and experiences arise, continue mentally reciting and feeling the meaning of each word of this mantra. And apply those feelings now to the observation of the other experiences, the unintentional, habitual thoughts. Having loving awareness towards each thought, that loving awareness that respects, accepts, and somehow understands the meaning of each thought, the core meaning. Keeping the eyes closed. Begin to lengthen the inhale. Lengthen the exhale. Breathing in mentally, feeling and saying each word in your own mental voice. I am. Exhaling, loving awareness. I am loving awareness. Remaining in that state of loving awareness of the thoughts and experiences around you. Holding that space for your own self. These times require us to have the vulnerability to be able to hold space for others, But in order to be able to truly hold that compassionate space for others in their time of need, in order to connect to them, we first need to be able to do this for ourselves, so that all those old past traumas and triggers and emotions can be surrendered rather than projected onto the reality around us. So first, we need to commit to holding this space of loving awareness for our own personality, for our own character, and allow that loving awareness to be that high vibrational shift that allows all of these phenomenal experiences to fall into a coherent line of new vibration and of new consciousness. I am loving awareness. Bring the palms together at the center of the heart. Turn the corners of your mouth to this hint of a smile, that knowing, humored smile. And after the next inhale, let's close together with one Om. Take a deep breath in. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you all so very, 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 very much. Those of you that are still with me, thank you for joining us this morning. If you would like to make a donation, my Venmo is Jasmine, JASMYN Russell -1. Any donation is very helpful to help me sustain all that I'm doing, and I appreciate every single little penny that comes in, and then proceeds of that will later on be distributed to helping to feed these children and families that have been displaced either from school or jobs and are struggling with that. So thank you all so very, very much. If you have any questions, then go ahead and send me a DM. I'm happy to answer any of those. Otherwise, is everyone good with the 7:30 a.m. time, or should we move it? I like 7:30 personally. I like getting my day started and being ready to go. Hurry up and wait. No, I've got a lot of stuff to do. Ready to go by 8:30, but I will move it if you guys think it'd be easier for you to wake up a little bit later. All right, I'm going to take that as it's all good. 7:30 it is. Okay. Chef, you're here even before I am, waiting on me. So, all right. Well then, I will see you guys tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. Or if you want to come to a yoga class tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, teaching the slow flow green monkey. Nothing as fancy and complicated as what I do on my story. That's like my own private personal practice. That's just like fun. So, all right, good. Jimmy, I expect to see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye, Gino. Bye, Gino.